Hey everybody, Dynamic Math here. Today we're going to investigate the difference between what we call a segment bisector and a perpendicular bisector. Again, they both have the word bisector in them, we know that. But we're going to clearly distinguish what's going on here. So again, before we start, feel free, just like always, to move points A and B anywhere you like in the applet above. So I'm going to put mine here. You put yours wherever you would like, and let's slide that slider slowly and see what happens. So notice what's forming here. I got to have a white point, and what does that imply? That action you just witnessed about that white point. Again, I'll reset it and do it again slowly. Again, we're forming segment AB, but yet notice that white point there cuts that white point right there where the arrow is cuts segment AB into not one but two congruent segments. So therefore that implies the y point is a midpoint of segment AB. So keep that in mind. That y point is a midpoint, and if we click this checkbox up here, it says show segment bisectors. Here we just see 5 of them, but there are technically infinitely many segment bisectors of segment AB. Well, what's common about all of these segment bisectors? I can move them any which way that I want, right? But this line and that line, what do they all have in common? Well, they other than the fact that they all intersect each other, they all intersect at one point. Yes, that's true. But where do they hit the segment? Where do they intersect segment AB? Yeah, at its midpoint. So a segment bisector, remember from before, a segment bisector is any line that intersects a segment at its midpoint. And since all these maroon lines intersect segment AB at its midpoint, they're classified as segment bisectors. But now let's go to the checkbox up the checkbox up here, and let's show some perpendicular lines. Just like you witnessed before in the other applet, right? Lines are perpendicular, or a line is perpendicular to another line, or in this case, these green lines are perpendicular to this segment AB because they intersect segment AB at a right angle. Okay? So again, make AB as big or as small as you want. You can draw infinitely many perpendicular lines to that segment AB. All right? But now we take with the arrows, we've seen segment bisectors, we've seen perpendicular lines, but what happens when you take the ingredients of a segment bisector and a perpendicular and actually put them into one? Well, you get what we call a perpendicular bisector. And let's click that box, and how many perpendicular bisectors does any segment have? Yeah, that's right, only one. And so what is a perpendicular bisector of a segment? What does it do? Well, how would you describe it? Well, a perpendicular bisector, that purple line is a perpendicular bisector of segment AB. And what that perpendicular bisector does is it intersects the segment at its midpoint at a right angle. The fact that it intersects at the midpoint shows the bisect part of the word, and the fact that it intersects at a right angle takes care of the perpendicular adjective. So therefore, again, reiterating, a line is said to be a perpendicular bisector of a segment. This line here is a perpendicular bisector of segment AB because it intersects the midpoint of that segment at a right angle. It's as simple as that. Thanks for watching.